The story of the Tears of the Moon, an Amazonian tree with the ability to cure and lift curses with a single blooming petal, opens the film. Aguirre, the conquistador, is the most famous person, who found it after traveling considerable miles in search of its power. Before Aguirre was discovered and restored to health by the tree's genuine protectors, he and his soldiers battled the jungle that was keeping the magical tree safe. Aguirre insisted on receiving the arrowhead, which holds the secret to locating the tree, as soon as he was able to move again. The conquistador fought the guardians after they refused, but all he and his soldiers gained was a curse to never again set eyes on an Amazonian river. McGregor is seen recounting the tree's mythology and pointing out a potential location on a map. In order to start an expedition in the hopes of discovering the Tears of the Moon, he is presenting the theories surrounding the arrowhead to a society that owns it among other relics. He can see his sister Lily, who really wrote the speech, mouthing the words up in the rafters. Lily takes matters into her own hands, while McGregor stalls them after realizing that her brother won't be able to persuade the society to grant them the arrowhead. She encounters Prince Joachim as she makes her way through the society's hallways, carrying a map that will lead her to the room containing the relics. She is allowed to pass since the man believes she is just trying to find the assistant's room. In an attempt to blend in, Lily bursts into the room and puts on some masculine attire. One of the society members leads Joachim into the room when she locates the crate holding the item, opens it, and takes the arrowhead. As they open the package and discover the relic missing, Joachim turns to find Lily attempting to flee the room since he is also searching for the arrowhead. He orders the guys to stop her, but she defies him by using bold and inventive fighting techniques to demonstrate her intelligence and physical prowess. Ultimately, Joachim intervenes and stops her, causing Lily to jump out of the window and land on the library steps. Joachim pulls the cord on the steps, sending Lily flying even deeper toward the street, but she clutches on tight. Lily throws the box at Joachim and falls onto the bus that her brother stopped for her, as he asks her to give him the arrowhead. When Joachim opens it, the arrowhead is gone. As the society member tries to make amends for misplacing the relic, the prince simply murders them all after discovering who Lily is. Later, Lily and McGregor are about to set out on their quest to locate the tree by a river in the Amazon, believing that doing so will enable them to eradicate all disease in the world. Finding a captain to guide them over the river is the only task remaining after planning the complete trip. Later on, cut to the Amazon where a group of English visitors are being transported by riverboat. Frank, a scoundrel, is the captain of this especially damaged ship. He built his whole expedition around the idea that anything in the Amazon can kill you in order to steal even more money from his guests. He even pays a tribe to help him lie in order to deceive the visitors into thinking they are on a dangerous adventure. Lily and McGregor arrive in the small town near the Amazon where Frank has established his business. In the meantime, the prince's troops are pursuing them as well. She rushes out to meet Nilo, who appears to own most of the boats in the port, thrilled that they have a skipper for their journey. Conversely, Nilo goes to speak with Frank, who has just docked his yacht, and demands that he pay him the money he is owed. When Frank is unable to pay in full, Nilo seizes his engine and locks it away, promising to return it to Frank upon full payment. Lily finds herself standing in front of McGregor's office, talking to Frank, after they part ways in search of Nilo. In order to keep Lily from suspecting that he is up to no good, he has broken into the office and taken the key to recover his engine while posing as Nilo. Frank unlocks the door when Lily explains that she has a lot of money and that she wants someone to take her downriver. She tells him where she needs to go right away after storming inside. Frank continues to pose as Nilo as he asks Lily where she got the map and warns her that the location she wants to travel is unsafe. She proudly claims that it belonged to her father, who used to tell her stories about the mythology, and that it was drawn by Aguirre's cartographer approximately 400 years ago. Frank gives her a mocking laugh, and suggests another kind of adventure. Lily unlocks the box for him, after noticing that he was attempting to open it with his boat's key. Frank is persuaded to accept the position, after which he ushers Lily inside the restaurant to complete the transaction. McGregor arrives with the actual Nilo as they bargain over the cost of the trip. When Lily discovers she's been duped, and Frank can see the arrowhead hanging around her neck, she bids him farewell. When he realizes this, he becomes adamant about winning her over as a customer, and continues to lower his fee, claiming he is the only one who can do so. When a jaguar unexpectedly enters the restaurant, Frank defends McGregor and Lily from it, by battling it and eventually outwitting it with a stake while Nilo flees. Lily selects Frank immediately away after being persuaded by his handling of the jaguar that he is the best candidate for the position. Frank later collects the siblings from the dock, but there's a hitch in the story. In order to escape Nilo's men, Frank paddles the boat out with McGregor while Lily is taken hostage by several locals for Joachim. Luckily, Lily quickly outruns her captors with a well-planned dash around the wharf, and Frank and McGregor eventually pick her up in the boat. When Joachim hears that Lily wasn't taken prisoner, he gives the order for his soldiers to surface the submarine as they depart. He is determined to reach the tree because he believes it will help Germany win World War I. Joachim tries firing at the boat first, but when it doesn't work, he fires a torpedo at them. Frank executes a cunning move to save the boat from the torpedo as Nilo's ships are destroyed, when the submarine's propeller becomes entangled in a rope, and it is sent toward the port. At last, Frank and his companions are heading in the direction of the enchanted tree. Lily is having the time of her life on the river, but McGregor isn't exactly enjoying himself in the sweltering sun. She records everything she can with her handheld camera, including the robust Frank, as she becomes enthralled with every animal that wanders around the boat. Because he's a curious man, he tries his hand at being in front of the camera and seems attracted to Lily. But instead of giving him much time to unwind, she orders him to steer the ship in the direction of a riskier but quicker course. Lily persists, so Frank gives her a hard time about it, but ultimately decides to give in to her demands. Subsequently, Frank lets the engine rest by anchoring the boat for the night. As McGregor retires for the evening, Frank and Lily continue their conversation and get to know one another on the deck. But McGregor meets Proxima in an awful way that brings the large cat right up to the deck. As soon as Frank instructs Proxima to stop licking McGregor's face, she begins. When Lily discovers that she is Frank's pet, any trust she may have had in him fades away, and she becomes very angry with him. Joachim, meantime, decides to take a different route, with the goal of tracking down the cursed conquistadors to assist him in reaching the tree. When Joachim gets to the location where the curse imprisoned Aguirre and his soldiers, he approaches the conquistador's body and uses a small amount of river water to reawaken it. Aguirre makes a pact with Joachim to discover the arrowhead so they may both obtain what they want as to snakes that are a part of him emerge from his body. Conquistador and his soldiers are freed from prison by Joachim, when the snake vows to uphold the agreement. Frank and his passengers eventually reach the rapids the following day. Frank keeps them afloat as they navigate the treacherous waters, and Lily is adamant that they stay on that course despite her extreme fear and misery. During their trip through the rapids, the boat nearly makes an unbelievable plunge that would have terrified them all, but Frank manages to steer it back toward calmer waters. Proxima and the other passengers puke on the side of the boat's bow despite the fact that the vessel is settled. Subsequently, when Frank and McGregor are gathering trees to feed the engine, the brother admits why he decided to accompany Lily on her journey despite not being as adventurous as she is. Lily was the only member of their family to stick by his side once he came out as gay, and he would follow her everywhere in return. Lily discovers something odd when she breaks into Frank's lodgings in the interim. Thinking he's going for it himself, Lily confronts Frank when he returns to the boat, bringing up all the materials and charts she's found on the tree in his cabin. Frank informs her that it may have been true in the past, but not for very long. He claims that, although he was never successful in finding it, it was also the reason he traveled to the Amazon. Unexpectedly, one of Frank's hired tribes ambushes the boat, and they continue the rouse for McGregor and Lily for a short while, up until Lily pushes things too far, and the chief chooses to end the hoax. Frank acts as a translator between Lily and the chief. When McGregor and Lily learn about it, they're not very understanding about it. Later on, asks the chief to assist her in deciphering the arrowhead's engravings. She explains to Lily that the marks indicate that in order to find the tear of the moon, a person must turn water into stone and heal heartbreak. According to the woman, the tree would bloom specially on 2 days while it is under the unique sobbing moon. Lily recognizes the image on the map and quickly locates the serpent that chews its own tail. According to her description of the path leading to the tree, Lily gives Frank the remaining money since she believes she can get there without Frank and with a canoe. The community is invaded that evening by the conquistadors, who are cursed and searching for the arrowhead. Lily, McGregor, and Frank fight several conquistadors. One of them succeeds in robbing Lily of her arrowhead and handing it to Aguirre. Frank halts the conquistadors' attempt to escape and engages in combat with him over the item. After Aguirre stabs him, he takes the arrowhead back and tosses it to Lily before he falls through the trees. Lily and McGregor are saved by the chief, who also tells Lily to flee by moving out of the conquistadors' line of sight and onto land. Aguirre's snakes pursue Lily as she flees, grabbing hold of her. However, the bush pulls him and his troops back to the river before he can take any action against Lily. The conquistadors understand they need Joachim's assistance to reach Lily as they assemble themselves. Aguirre sends one of his soldiers to the prince with his bees to let him know what's going on. When Lily finds Frank the next morning, she is relieved to see that he is still alive. He finds out that Frank has a blade sticking out of his back when McGregor and the chief arrive. Frank is forced to admit to them for the last time that he was one of Aguirre's conquistadors. Lily had to remove the dagger from his chest before he can say anything else. MacGregor passes out after seeing her remove it without inflicting any harm on Frank. Later, knowing that she will be traveling the remainder of the way with Frank by herself, Lily awakens him up to bid him farewell. Joachim invites the bees of the cursed conqueror inside his submarine as they arrive. In the meantime, to the surprise of his subordinates, one of the bees shows him where the arrowhead is on the map, and they manage to conduct a whole discussion. Once they are back on the boat, Frank and Lily discuss his life over the previous 400 years. He informs her that he was Aguirre's closest friend, and that it was up to him to find the tear of the moon in the Amazon so that Aguirre could save his daughter from passing away. He served as his cartographer. In reality, it was he who created her river chart. Frank realized he couldn't be a part of it when he witnessed what the conquistador was about to do to the tribe who had healed them, so he pursued Aguirre into the heart of the jungle in search of the magical tree petal. While the chieftain cursed them all with his final breath, Frank intervened to prevent him from killing the chieftain's daughter, who had managed to escape with the arrowhead. Frank and Aguirre engaged in constant fighting as the years passed, and eventually he imprisoned him and his men in a cave that prevented the forest from bringing them back to the river. Their bodies were devastated by the jungle for 300 years, which is what made them into the monsters they are. After carefully listening to him, Lily asks him what he has been doing for the past 3 centuries. Frank informs her that when he made the decision to look for the tears of the moon, he built the community where she discovered him, making and breaking friends along the way. After building his boat, he spent years searching the entire river without success. Eventually, he gave up and started taking tourists on cruises. Proxima, which means next, is the moniker he gave to the stray cats he found over the years, and took care of one after the other, referring to them as his large cats. Prince Joachim uses his submarine to catch up to MacGregor in the meantime. After taking MacGregor in, he uses coercion to get him to reveal where the tear of the moon is. Joachim destroys the conquistador bees to prevent them from telling their lord where they are. After MacGregor shows him the location on a map, Frank explains Lily what would happen when he eventually pulls a petal from the tree while they sail in the same direction. He claims he has 2 options, and he will select the one that will allow him to get some sleep at last. They come to a standstill at the river the following day, and Lily believes they have arrived at the location indicated by the arrowhead, where water turns to stone. Frank plunges into the river, discovers an old chamber with a lever, and then jumps back up to warn Lily that she will have bad luck trying to open it since he is too small to fit inside. Since she cannot swim, she becomes a little freaked out, but Frank soon persuades her that there is no other option, and they both jump in. As soon as she enters the chamber, she pulls a lever to shut the door, and Frank offers her a quick kiss to calm her down. Lily successfully presses down on the antiquated lever, while Frank gets attacked by piranhas. Lily can't leave the cove until the water is completely drained, even if the water is starting to run out. She slaps Frank for leaving her under when he eventually reaches her, believing that she had drowned. They discover while getting dressed that they have located the tree, but when the remaining water empties from the cove, another issue becomes apparent. Joachim is also present, holding MacGregor captive. Even worse, one of the conquistador bees, who has been pursuing them, returns to inform the cursed men of their whereabouts. After stealing Lily's arrowhead, Joachim forces Frank to lead them into the cave where the tree is located using his riverboat. The tree appears to have been dead for millennia when they arrive at it. Since Lily is one of the few who knows how to make the tree blossom, Joachim asks her to do so. When Lily declines, Frank offers to do it in exchange for a single petal. Joachim accepts the conditions but retains MacGregor as security. After obtaining the prince's arrowhead, Frank searches for a means to unlock the tree. Joachim forces Lily to assist him after he fails immediately in exchange for Frank's flower. Together, they quickly realize that the arrowhead is actually a heart and not anything at all. They disassemble it in accordance with the directions, and discover a mystical component inside. They position the repaired heart on one side of the relief, and that component on the other. As the tree starts to bloom in the moonlight, its charm becomes apparent right away. When the tree reaches its peak of blossom, Lily shoots Frank, causing him to tumble back down the cave. Before the weeping moon sets, Joachim dispatches his men to gather the petals from the tree. Meanwhile, Frank helps MacGregor escape Joachim's men, and with Proxima's assistance, they manage to retake the ship. As the moon sets, Lily leaps up on the tree to retrieve a petal, but she can hardly move quickly enough to do it. When she eventually pulls off a single tear, Joachim is there to extort her once more, this time for her brothers and her own lives. She loses the petal and clings to the prince to save herself as the tree suddenly starts to collapse. Frank also succeeds in grasping the petal. The conquistadors also reach the tree and murder the prince as the final act of the quest. They pursue Lily as well, but Frank convinces them to follow him by demonstrating the petal. In order to keep Lily and McGregor safe, he forces Proxima to stay with him, and leaves McGregor on the surface. She tumbles down from the tree beside her brother, and together they witness Frank trying to smash the boat into the old monument. Frank fights all of the conquistadors as they pursue him in an attempt to win the petal. Finally, he engages in combat with Aguirre, who requests the petal from him once more. However, it turns out that McGregor is in possession of the flower, which he can offer to Lily. The boat collides with the historic landmark, preventing river water from entering the cave. Frank and the other conquistadors are taken by the jungle, which is unable to return them to the river, and instead turns them back into stone. When Lily gets there, she makes the decision to give Frank the petal in hopes that it will cure his curse, shattering her hopes of saving humanity. Proxima waits patiently in front of her master, but nothing happens, so she and her brother depart. As Frank regains consciousness, Lily hears her roars and rushes into his arms. They realize all of a sudden that they have been given one more petal to take from the enchanted tree. They eventually make it back to the town, and give Nilo the small raft they managed to sail back on. And in the movie's last scene, they are all back in London together. You can see Lily, Frank, and Proxima in the back of a car as they drive around London.